Well, it's hard to believe, but opening day has arrived here in Iowa, and I'm just getting ready to go hang and stand and sit for the afternoon. But before I do that, I wanted to kind of check in and just talk about some of my plans for this first week or two of the season, but also recap the hunts I've been on so far. So I started my season down in Kentucky for their early opener, and I was hunting down there with a buddy. Unfortunately, the hunting was pretty slow and never had any encounters with any shooter bucks. But then a little over a week or so ago, I hunted up in Minnesota with another good buddy of mine. I've actually been going up there the last 3 years to hunt with him on his farm, and we've had some tough luck. We haven't had any shots at any of the target bucks, and that was kind of the same story this year. But the very first night that we hunted, we both saw our target bucks. We were hunting together, and on our top two target bucks for Randy, his top target is a big 6x6, probably mid upper 70s type deer, beautiful deer. And for me, my main target up there is actually a 9-year-old deer. So it's a buck we call Fat Albert. Obviously, haven't been up there for a few years. I kind of know the history and backstory on that deer, and to be able to go out of state and chase a deer of that age caliber is pretty special. And he was actually the first deer, or the first of the two bucks to come out. The 6x6 was following him, but we got to watch him from a distance that first night out in the middle of a newly planted CRP field. And the next morning, mid-morning, we went and hung a set closer, trying to move in on these bucks. Unfortunately, couldn't catch up to them the next couple days. Never had any more encounters. But I'm going to try to make another trip up there to hunt with Randy on his target, but also to try to catch up with Albert or one of those other bucks up there. So beautiful country, always fun to see some new scenery, hunt out of state like that, and spend time with a buddy. Back here in Iowa, I'm in a little bit of a dilemma this first week or two of the season. We had a really good cold front come through overnight, cooled things down. Really couldn't ask for better conditions for opening day. But as I start to think about which bucks I want to target, obviously I like chasing specific deer. I've found myself reflecting on last year, and I ended up missing a lot of October opportunities because I was waiting on certain deer to show up that just, quite frankly, never did due to EHD or whatever. And I did find my first EHD buck the other day here this year too. So hopefully that's not the case, but I'm still waiting on, 3 or 4 bucks that I know made it through last year's hunting season that just haven't showed up yet. Some I'm definitely worried whether or not they're alive, but others, it's sometimes into October when they show up. So, here's my dilemma is, we're in the middle of this fall shift, which I love. This is one of my favorite times of year, watching the bucks start to settle in their core ranges. My scrapes are on fire right now. Every night I'm having, different bucks come in and scent check and, leave their mark. And so it's just cool to see that whole transition. Sometimes that fall shift happens early, like late August or beginning of September. Sometimes for me, it's later. Once the crops all start coming out, they settle into their fall ranges more like mid-October. But typically when they do show up, they're there. So, the dilemma I'm in, not knowing whether or not some of these bucks are alive, is do I go and chase some of these deer now and have some of my main targets show up later, or do I hold off? And so I'm kind of giving myself a cutoff date of, October 15th is when I'll really start to shift gears to focus on some of the bucks I know that are alive. Until then, I'm not going to stay out of, like tonight, for example, I'm going on a spot where there is, a good, mature, probably a shooter that would be really hard to pass. And so we'll see if I encounter him tonight, but I just don't want to find myself in the situation last year where I waited so long on deer that ultimately weren't alive and missed a lot of opportunities at other bucks. So that's kind of my thought process and plans for the first week or two of the season. Again, I'm not going to stay out of the woods. I'm just not going to fully get aggressive and shift my focus to the bucks that I know are alive until probably middle of the month. The other side story, or kind of a primary story for me, is my daughter. Trying to get her first deer. We've been on 2 hunts so far, and just haven't quite gotten one in range. but I'm enjoying the heck out of being in the woods with her. She's loving it. She's wanting to go, pretty much every day, but unfortunately she's pretty busy for a 5-year-old already, a lot of activity. So we're going to try to get out here in these next couple days and see if we can knock her first steer down. But I've had so much fun, doing that and preparing all summer with her for this opportunity. So again, just enjoying this fall shift. Cameras are lighting up right now. For those that are interested too, I am launching my own line of scents called Daywalk. I'll cover what they are and how I use them in a future video, but if you followed me, I'm a big believer in mock scrapes and using scents throughout the season. And so after testing these for the last couple of years and having buddies test them all over the country, I wanted to bring these to the market for anyone that's interested in using them. So feel free to order at the link below. Like I said, I'll cover more in a future video, but if you want to get a jump start on ordering and using, go ahead at the link below. I appreciate the support, and best of luck this season. Hope everyone has a great year, and stay safe.